Hello. So today I want to look into a study that shows how our culture and the country we live affects the quality and quantity of our sleep. And this study was conducted by the Korean Institute of Science and Technology, the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. So we know sleep does have an effect on us and our health and how we interact throughout the day. It also affects our mood and other factors, other biological factors. Now, previous research on how much and how well we slept is mostly relied on self-report and usually confined within like unnatural environments of these sleep laboratories. But it still kind of left a vacuum in a sense, or unanswered questions about the quality of sleep. And is it really a personal choice? Could it be independent of our social and societal factors like culture and geography? So this study, it was led by, again, researchers in the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology and Nokia Bell Labs in UK. It's like a joint study, looks like. They looked at the cultural and individual factors that influence our sleep. This kind of contrasted previous studies that relied on surveys and controlled experiments at the laboratories. So the way this was done, it was looked at through smartwatches. So they took smartwatches that were commercially available and they took data from these watches over a 4-year period from 30,082 individuals from 11 countries. They wore Nokia smartwatches. I guess this is where the Nokia Labs in UK comes into play. And this allowed the team to investigate the country-specific sleep patterns based on digital logs from the smartwatches. This makes a lot of sense. I see how this could be feasible, especially when you're observing people in different countries. This is how technology helps us, right? Instead of using a lab, which is more controlled. This looks at people in their natural environment, their natural habitat. So the logs from the smartwatches revealed discrepancies in wake-up times and sleep times, sometimes by double-digit minutes to an hour. Now, previous data, it showed like the average sleep time overall was, again, from self-report, didn't really identify the discrepancy between the geographical locations and the culture that the person being studied had belonged to. Now with these watches, they could take that information and they could observe that the wake-up times were similar. Sleep time varied by country. The individuals with the higher GDP, individuals who lived in higher GDP countries, had more records of delayed sleep time. Now I wonder, is that correlated with all the work and activity they're doing? I mean, I guess it's obvious, right? If we are producing a lot, and again, this goes about in regards to quality. Okay, you got a higher GDP, you're producing a lot. So people are staying up all these hours to produce whatever they're producing. That takes a toll on their sleep quality. So again, is the importance GDP, and is there a way to, is this a sacrifice of sleep quality? I'm just throwing some ideas out there. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at this information they extracted from the data, from the sleep data. So they also looked at those in the collectivist culture. I guess you can call it collectivist. The Japanese, basically Japanese, and then they call the European individualist culture, who showed more records of delayed sleep time. So the collectivist culture showed more records of delayed sleep time. You know what? I don't know if you can call it, you can say it that way, because there are other cultures that are collectivists and they move at a slower pace and they tend to get more sleep in more, I guess you're developing countries. So I wouldn't look at it as a collectivist culture in this sense. I mean, I guess you could say, cultures in more, I guess, East Asian, is it East Asian or Southeast? East Asian, in this sense. I mean, to me anyway, like Japan. Of course, Japan is a hardworking country, so I would see how they wouldn't get a lot of sleep. Again, I guess it's part of their culture. They still pride in that. I haven't been in Japan, so I can't really say right now. Maybe things have changed. I know I don't mean to get off topic, but you look at the declining population and guys kind of quitting life in a sense, socially. But yeah, so in this culture they got less sleep, and among individualist cultures it was compared to that. They got a little bit more sleep than maybe the Japanese, which is like individualist cultures like a Finland. So Finland got an average 8-hour sleep. But Finland seems like more of a quality of life type of mentality. I don't know if I would call that individualist, right? I haven't been there either. These are countries I haven't been. I've been to a few countries, but these are not it. These are not them. So again, I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay with how they're categorized, but I can see how they could contrast in sleep due to the emphasis on working long hours in a place like Japan, as opposed to Finland, which is focusing on work-life balance. From what I read about Finland, right? I can see how and why they would get more sleep. That's a cultural thing, in which this all makes sense. So the researchers calculated the essential sleep metrics used in clinical studies such as sleep efficiency, sleep duration, and overslept hours on weekends. They used this to analyze the extensive sleep patterns. They used something called a principal component analysis, PCA, and they condensed the metrics into two major sleep dimensions, representing sleep quality and sleep quantity. So the cross-country comparison revealed that societal factors account for 55% of the variation in sleep quality and 63% of variation in sleep quantity. I'm going to repeat that again. So the society you live in affects 55% of your sleep quality and 63% of your sleep quantity. So countries that place like a greater emphasis on individual achievements and relationships, they had a longer sleep durations. So countries that focus on individual achievements and relationships, they had a longer sleep durations. Okay. And they say that attributes to societies having a norm of going to bed early. Whereas countries like Spain and Japan, on the other hand, had a bedtime scheduled at least at the latest hours, despite having the highest collectivism score. That's interesting. The study also discovered that a moderate relationship between higher uncertainty avoidance index, which measures implementation of general laws and regulation in the daily lives of regular citizens, and better sleep quality. Okay, so there was a moderate relationship between, I guess, the stability of where you live, as far as how the laws are implemented, and the daily lives of regular citizens, and their sleep quality. Okay, so I guess if you feel like this is a moderate relationship, right? So I guess if you feel like the laws are implemented fairly, then that affects sleep quality. It doesn't go into specifics about that. The researchers also investigated how physical activity can affect sleep quantity and quality to see if individuals can counterbalance the cultural influences through personal interventions. I guess that makes sense to look into how physical activity affects sleep quantity and quality. They discovered that increasing daily activity can improve sleep quality in terms of shortened time needed in falling asleep. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're tired, if you have a lot of activity or physical activity throughout the day, or you exercise and you're tired, it's easier for your body to want to rest. That makes sense. That would improve your sleep quality. They say individuals who exercise more, however, did not sleep longer. Oh. But they had better sleep quality. That's interesting. That's really interesting. So the effect of exercise differed by country, with more pronounced effects observed in some countries, such as the United States and Finland. Interestingly, in Japan, no obvious effect of exercise could be observed. These findings suggest that the relationship between daily activity and sleep may differ by country, and that different exercise regimens may be more effective in different cultures. I guess that's true. I don't know what kind of exercise they do in Japan, and just basically things you've seen. I guess I could look it up on YouTube what some people do. I'm just assuming there's a lot of meditative exercises involved, as well as, I don't know. I'd have to look that up myself, I guess. But again, they say it couldn't be observed in Japan. So I'm wondering why they could observe it in Finland and US, but not in Japan. I guess the obvious effect of exercise. Again, I guess, I don't know if that's their work schedule. That is a culture that focuses a lot on working hard or working long hours. I remember they had that issue with the high suicide rate. So the research titled Social Dimensions Impact Individual Sleep Quantity and Quality. That's the title of the research published in Scientific Reports. And that shows, again, the societal effects. I guess people never looked into this. I guess you might have thought about it subconsciously, but I never really thought about this in any deep kind of in-depth analysis myself. I guess, we don't. I guess we're so busy throughout the day. We're feeling sleepy or we're not. So one of the co-authors, tongue-tied, co-authors, their name is Danielle Garcia, commented, excessive work schedules, long work hours, and late bedtime in high-income countries, and social engagement due to high collectivism may cause bedtimes to be delayed. I can see how social engagement can have you stay up late, but the long work hours can also, of course, long work hours and late bedtime, which a lot of us have a problem with. It's hard I think personally, if you don't get into bed before 11:30, it's just not a good sleep. And you're waking up at, I guess, 6:30. Some people wake up 4 and 5. I guess those people would go to bed at like 9, 8, 10, or however. I don't know. I know somebody who's works for themselves. They go to bed pretty early, like 9, and they're up pretty early too, like 5. But yeah, that also depends on the individual schedule. But this looks at a large number of people. What the study points out that even though you're in the same culture, same country, your individual efforts like daily exercise can have a positive impact on your sleep quantity and sleep quality. So I guess they're also saying you as an individual can affect how much sleep and how much quality of sleep that you get. And this also is related to your well-being, as well as your mental health, your social, not really social, but your mental health, your dementia, your capability of developing dementia in an older age, obesity, things like that. I mean, I guess it's not, what do I want to say? I guess these things are a lot of us know to do, but making this an everyday practice, we have to actually take charge of our lives, like take a stronger control. And I guess this is done in more individualist countries, as opposed to a country like Japan, where they want you to conform to a certain, based on what a lot of us have been told about Japan, you have to conform to how everyone does things. There's a lot of conformity involved. So I guess it may be harder in that sense. I don't know. Again, I'm just guessing. But this is a really, I think it's an enlightening study, and help us to take a grasp of how we sleep and how sleep affects us. I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I'm going to put a link to the article in the description, and feel free to leave a comment on what you think. I think I did something else related to snoring. I want to talk about that too. That should be kind of funny. But anyway, let me know what you think. Thank you for taking time out to listen to me ramble. I really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Take care.